Briefs. A brief refers to a short summary of a longer project idea. Usually we'll send briefs to get stakeholder or a team on board with the plan. You can also think of it like a pre-proposal because you still have to put work and effort into it, but a lot less time than doing a full proposal. Now, creative briefs are one place where we see and use them a lot for, well, creative projects. In PR, social media, video production, any sort of those creative fields, we really always start with a brief. You want to make sure the clients are on board with the vision, goals, and elements before you put in all the work creating your assets and such. So for the creative brief, start with the project description and the objectives. The objectives should be SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based, to ensure you actually guide the project forward. For creative briefs, we always write out the audience and persona we are targeting with the event, campaign, video, etc. So we practice that rhetorical situation, coming up with our audience statements. Who are they? What do they do? What do they want? Why do they want it? For example, the project could be an ebook launch with an objective to drive 4,500 downloads and generate new leads. The audience might be entrepreneurs, 25 to 55, college educated who are interested in outside of the box ideas for business growth. So we know the age range, some of their education, some of their interests, generally, what is their deal? Then we get into the message and tone for what and how we want to communicate with that audience. Literally write out the adjectives for the tone and provide an example. So that way everybody, your clients and your team working on the copy and graphic assets know what the vibe will be. You also state the types of assets and deliverables needed with any inspiration, branding, mood boards, or style notes. You might put those things like approval processes and roles for everybody on the team, the budget, the timeline here as well. Then note the final distribution channels. You may have heard of a brief on competition TV shows too, like Project Runway gives the contestants a brief, which is all the details of the vibe, deliverables, and expectations that guide the creative process along the episode's theme. So a creative brief is all those things that your creative team needs to start working on the project and help the stakeholders approve what's going on. You can turn your creative briefs into your progress reports too. And so you already have all this great information that you can just rewrite into your summary section. And then you have, your different kinds of tasks already figured out because you broke down all the deliverables and product details. If you're not in a creative field, we have technical briefs for you. So technical briefs function similar to the creative brief, but are specialized for describing product prototypes, process plans, and development scenarios. A technical brief is really just a concise document summarizing the complex technical development information for decision makers, project managers, engineers, or really any other stakeholders who need to understand the key points without getting bogged down in excessive detail. It is designed to bridge the gap really between the subject matter experts and everyone else, usually. Technical briefs are more common in certain fields, a lot of government contract areas, and technical development teams. Now, the government tends to favor and release technical briefs because they have a lot of information that they need to give to the public as stakeholders. They are funded by the public after all. And briefs are a helpful resource in any complicated product or code development for the same reason creative briefs are helpful. It explains to the team everything they need in relatable, short ways to get everybody on that same page quickly. There isn't a clear or true template for what goes into your technical brief because it is so topic and field specific. But generally, your brief will follow the outcomes of any other project management genre to describe what is going on. So you'll have your introduction, provide context, background, all that background stuff, right? You'll have your technical discussion where you present the details of the project, product, or work. And you have your actions and recommendations. Summarize any key processes, outcomes, and recommendations. Technical briefs might also have a reference area where you can list resources and sources that were cited or used. So basically, a technical brief is a too long didn't read, or I didn't need to know that much information about your technical situation. It could also be a discussion of, new manufacturing process for executives. It could be for the architecture of your software application for investors, or used as a quick roadmap and reference for your devs. It could also look like an explanation of your financial models to a client. As an example, the National Park Service has a library of technical briefs on things like archaeology and civic engagement, where basically they are explaining social capital and suggest how archaeologists can contribute to that public engagement. The last type is a research brief, to inform to usually less technical audiences the key points of your research. such as the CDC's research on health, or to explain the background of your project to a stakeholder. I see technical briefs more as explaining a concept or a tool or a function of something, and a research brief is more explicitly, we did research, we did this study, here's 2 pages explaining it to you. You need to talk about the problem and purpose of your study, your procedures and data collection, and the key takeaways that you found. In many ways, we can argue that a research poster is a form of a research brief, just printed on a giant paper and hung in a conference hall instead of as a handout. For example, a research brief on equity measurement challenges and statewide scale-up disciplinary reform as a study begins with 4 bullet points explaining the purpose and problem. Then the authors provide how they measured and monitored disciplinary disproportionality with bullet points and a table of data. The second page has the What We Found heading with charts and graphs. They end with a key takeaway section that has bullet points for research conclusions and then practice and policy implications. The collaborating universities and author information is in the footer. I'm sure the full report was like 30 pages long, maybe even more. It's pretty standard research manuscript length though, but they condensed all that into just 2 pages for the research brief. And they used some really nice color and layout design to make what could be a really hard to read, full paper into something the general audience and, more importantly, policymakers working on equity challenges could understand and do something with. Usually, research briefs are created after the project is complete to share the results. Creative briefs and technical briefs can be made at the start of a project and then referenced throughout the work as kind of a roadmap and guide. Research briefs are created at the end.